The story began with the father's horses, and the son built a world of vaccines. This is the story of Cyrus Poonawalla. It is morning. There is movement in the stables, the sound of horses' footsteps, and in the air, a mixed smell of soil, fodder, and sweat. From the outside, it looks like just an ordinary morning at a stud farm. But who could have imagined that from this very world would come a story that would go on to touch not lakhs, but billions of lives? The fear was that after independence, India faced a severe shortage of life-saving vaccines, and whatever was available was expensive. The curiosity was whether a family connected to the horse business could really do something big in the world of medicine. And the story begins exactly there. Where people saw horses, a young mind was seeing another picture of the future. This is the story of Cyrus Soli Poonawalla. Born on the 11th of May 1941, Cyrus grew up in a family whose identity was tied to horse breeding. His father, 𝐼 Poonawalla, founded Poona Stud Farm in 1946, which later became known as Poonawalla Stud Farms. It began with around a dozen mares and one stallion, Clarence GB. The interesting thing is that from the farm's very first crop came a horse named Fitzcall, which won the Indian 2000 guineas. In other words, even in the work the family was already doing, they were not ordinary. They were operating at the top level. Over time, this stud farm came to be counted among India's most prestigious thoroughbred breeding centers. According to official information, the farm produced hundreds of classic winners, gave multiple Indian Derby and Indian Classics winners, and built a distinct identity in the turf world. So it would be more accurate to say that Cyrus's father did not just sell horses, but was a major name in horse breeding and the stud farm business. That difference makes this story even deeper because the son came out of an established legacy but changed the direction of that very legacy. Cyrus's interest did not remain limited only to the family business. He had business sense, but along with that, he also had a distinct leaning toward science and practical problem solving. As time went on, he saw that India had a severe shortage of life-saving immunobiologicals. At that time, many essential vaccines and sera were imported, and their prices were so high that it was difficult for ordinary people to access them. That gap later became the biggest opportunity of his life. The official history of the Serum Institute of India also says that the company was established in 1966 with this very purpose, to manufacture life-saving immunobiologicals that were in short supply in the country and dependent on expensive imports. But the most interesting turn comes here. The Poonawalla family's retired horses used to be sent to a government institution, where anti-serum and related biological products were prepared from their blood serum. This was the practical link that showed Cyrus Poonawalla a completely new path. Bill Gates too, while writing about the Serum Institute in 2025, repeated this same point, that Cyrus and his brother recognized the manufacturing opportunity in low-cost vaccines and biologicals and moved in that direction in 1966. Put simply, where other people saw racing value in horses, Cyrus saw biomedical value in that same ecosystem. That was the vision that changed the whole story. Many people manage a family business, but very few see a new future industry inside the resources of that family business. Cyrus understood that if there was such a need for blood serum and biological products, if the country depended on imported supplies, and if he understood the raw material ecosystem, then why not build production in India itself? Today this idea sounds obvious, but in India of the 1960, it was a very big risk. Neither was the ecosystem ready, nor was the private biotech sector anything like what it is today, and nor was it certain that a young man from a horse breeding background would survive in the world of vaccine manufacturing. At just 25 years of age, in 1966, Cyrus Poonawalla founded the Serum Institute of India with his brother. Both Bill Gates and Serum Institute's publicly available accounts say that the company was started by Cyrus and his brother together. Today that sounds very simple, but at that time it was an almost impossible jump. From the world of stables and horses into the highly specialized field of vaccines and biological manufacturing. This is the point where the story moves beyond inspiration and becomes a story of audacity. The initial challenge was this. The idea was there, but where would the expertise come from? So the Serum Institute strengthened its foundation with the help of experienced doctors and scientists. In the early years, the company focused on therapeutic sera and anti-tetanus related products. According to information available from the Serum Institute and the Vilu Poonawalla Charitable Foundation, within 2 years of its establishment, the institute launched its first therapeutic anti-tetanus serum and began manufacturing anti-tetanus vaccines. That was the early breakthrough that started establishing the company not just as an experiment, but as a serious manufacturer. Once the path opened, Cyrus Poonawalla did not stop. In 1974, the Serum Institute introduced the DTP vaccine, which is used to protect against diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. This was no small achievement. In a country like India, low-cost and reliable supply for children's immunization was a very big need. Then in 1981 came anti-snake venom serum, which was an extremely important product in a country like India, where snakebite is a public health challenge. These launches made one thing clear, that the Serum Institute was not just seeing a business opportunity, but filling medical gaps that had been neglected for a long time. After that, 1989 became a decisive year, when the Serum Institute began production of the measles vaccine. According to a CDSCO document, the first authorization date for the measles rubella vaccine line is recorded as the 13th of April 1989, and company records show that after this phase, the Serum Institute's scale and market standing rose rapidly. Different public accounts say that in a very short time, the company became one of India's largest vaccine manufacturers. This was the phase when India was moving strongly towards self-reliance in vaccines like tetanus, diphtheria, and whooping cough. This is where Cyrus Poonawalla's real strength appears. He did not see the vaccine business merely as a high-margin niche industry. His model rested on scale, affordability, and reach. The effect of this philosophy was that the Serum Institute slowly shaped itself according to the needs of mass immunization. In later years, the company built its identity across vaccines like BCG, diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, Hib, hepatitis B, measles, mumps, rubella, polio, pneumococcal, and many others. Today, in its official materials, the company describes itself as the world's largest vaccine manufacturer by volume. According to the Serum Institute's official website, the company's annual manufacturing capacity has been more than 1.3 billion doses, and in public reporting, it has often been described as having an annual production capability of more than 1.5 billion doses. That is why it is called the world's largest vaccine manufacturer. This is not just a branding line. Its real meaning is that, by volume, the Serum Institute accounts for a very large share of the world's vaccine doses. And when a company reaches this level of quantity, its impact does not remain limited only to shareholders. It becomes part of the public health architecture. Another major claim of the company, repeated for years both in reports and on its own website, is that around 65% of children around the world receive at least one vaccine in their lives that has been made by the Serum Institute. This number sounds like an exaggeration when heard for the first time. But when you look at UNICEF supply chains, WHO pre-qualification, and large-scale public immunization programs, then you begin to understand how vast the global impact of low-cost, high-volume vaccine manufacturing can be. The Serum Institute's official materials say that its vaccines reach more than 140 countries. This is where the story moves beyond business biography and becomes a civilizational story. A country that once depended on imports for many vaccines sees a private Indian company rise from within it and become a major pillar of the global childhood immunization supply chain. This change did not come overnight. Behind it were manufacturing discipline, quality approvals, scale economics, scientific hiring, international partnerships, and an understanding of price sensitivity. Making cheap vaccines is not easy, and maintaining quality while keeping them cheap is even harder. The Serum Institute's success stands on exactly this balance: low cost, wide reach, and such massive volume that global health agencies cannot ignore it. This journey also received international recognition. In 2013, Prince Charles visited the Serum Institute in Pune. The Serum Institute's own news archive and contemporary reporting say that he was briefed there on vaccines, research, and manufacturing. Such visits are certainly symbolic, but they also carry a message. When global public figures like British royalty visit an Indian vaccine facility, it does not remain just a protocol visit. It becomes an acknowledgement of India's scientific manufacturing credibility too. Then came the COVID period, when suddenly the whole world began to understand the language of vaccines. In India, the name Covishield became known in every household, and the name of the Serum Institute reached millions of people who perhaps had never heard of the company before. Covishield took Cyrus Poonawalla and his family business into public consciousness at a level where it was no longer just a name within healthcare circles. Although the Serum Institute's global strength had been built long before COVID, the pandemic multiplied that visibility many times over. And now we come to the part that headlines grab the most: wealth. According to Forbes' 2026 Billionaires list, Cyrus Poonawalla's net worth is around $27 billion. Forbes placed him among the top 100 billionaires in the world in its 2026 global list, and also ranked him high among India's richest people. But to see this net worth only as personal wealth would be to read the story incompletely. This wealth is the earning of that model which made low-cost, high-volume vaccines a viable business on a global scale. Perhaps the deepest thing in this story is that Cyrus Poonawalla did not abandon his father's business. He redirected its logic into a new direction. Even in the world of horse breeding, bloodlines, discipline, care, breeding science, and long-term vision are needed. In vaccine manufacturing too, precision, patience, infrastructure, and scale are needed. Perhaps that is why this leap, though it looks strange, was not as strange as it seems. The only difference was that one path led to racing trophies, while the other path led to public health history. Today, when people say that the father was in the horse business, and the son built the world of vaccines from the serum of those very horses, that line is not just dramatic. Behind it lies a real industrial and scientific journey. This journey began from the stable and went to serum, from serum to institute, from institute to vaccines, and from vaccines to the immunity of children across the world. That is why the story of Cyrus Poonawalla is not just the story of becoming a billionaire. It is like that rare Indian story in which business, science, timing, and public need, all four, come together in one direction and create history. If this video has taught you something new, or if you feel this information should reach more people, don't forget to like and share the video. Your small share can become valuable and useful information for someone else. If you have any questions related to this topic, or if you would like to share your opinion with us, be sure to write in the comment box. We read every question and suggestion from you, because your feedback inspires us to create better content. And if you want to keep receiving such interesting and reliable information about business, the economy, and the world in the future, then don't forget to subscribe to our channel GRT Business and also press the bell icon so that you get notifications of every new video directly. At GRT Business, we always strive to provide you with accurate, balanced, and reliable information. Our news and analysis are prepared based on information obtained from various news agencies, public sources, and public opinion. We make every effort to verify and validate each fact as much as possible. But in case of any possible error or dispute, the responsibility lies with the respective sources. Our only aim is to present you with a correct and trustworthy perspective so that you can understand any topic better.